thanks for joining us on this Thursday afternoon. We are slowly making it towards the end of the work week. We are talking about another cold blast coming this week. So what we're talking about here is it was cold last weekend. It's going to be cold next weekend as well. An Arctic chill is going to keep that snow and ice around. And for some of us, we're going to get another round of snow. This coming from a bomb cyclone. Yes, that is an actual weather term. It's basically a cyclone that undergoes bombogenesis, and we'll explain exactly what that means here in just a few minutes. But basically, the impacts of this will be another round of heavy snow and extremely cold temperatures to places that don't often get cold temperatures like this. So one of those places is Florida. Florida is seeing snow like they've never seen it before. I'm not joking. For the first time in 37 years, the National Weather Service is talking about snow in Florida in certain areas that have not seen snow in a long time. So we'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. Let's go ahead and take a look at your 48-hour storm reports. No storms. No, nothing severe. Nothing severe across the U.S., so I'm going to skip this graphic. It's a little boring right now, but hey, you give it a month, we're going to have some sort of severe storms to talk about. Not today, though. We're talking about snow. It's pretty quiet out there right now. Clear skies. You can see the snow still sitting on the ground across most of the plains and then across the Midwest as well, as temperatures are still below freezing in these areas. 22 degrees in Kansas City, 33 in Oklahoma City, just barely above that freezing mark, and 55 in Dallas. So we've got 63 in Houston, the warmest that I can see on the map right now. Now let's talk about these alerts, because there's more alerts here today than there were yesterday. What does that mean? Really what we're watching for is this alert highlighted here in white. That's a cold weather advisory. What that means is while there may not be cold weather here right now, it's coming. It's approaching. It's going to be very, very cold tomorrow and even colder on Saturday. So there's two waves of cold coming in here. The first one coming in on basically today. It's a cold front that's coming through right now. And then another round on Friday that's going to make Saturday feel even colder. So a lot of people are wondering, when will this snow melt? Well, if you're anywhere highlighted here in the red and you still have snowfall on the ground right now, if that does not melt today, you're stuck with it until at least Monday. When will it warm above 40 for places up to the north? You know what? Actually, next week, we have a good chance to see a lot of us warm above that 32, 35 degree temperature, maybe even into the 40s for some of us, especially across the plains, and that's great news. Today, we're going to see a lot of melting farther down to the south, anywhere from the northern Gulf states all the way into Oklahoma. So when can you get outside? You've got today, but it's going to get a lot colder after today. And we've got Chipper on the chat today. Thanks for the chat today. Hashtag HailTrace team. We appreciate you joining us, Chipper. Yeah, let us know where you're watching from across the country. We love to tailor this forecast to your exact location, because we know that we have a lot of people watching from different areas. And again, we're live streaming on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube, so we've got a lot of different places that people can comment. All right, let's go ahead and break this down. No severe weather for us, but we still have a lot to talk about. What we're watching right now is this low pressure system that's bringing in that first round of cold air. Honestly, not that impressive right now. It's a little disorganized. However, it's starting to get into this ridge right here, this dip in the jet stream, and you can see that jet stream highlighted there in blue. And what's going to happen is it's going to get in an area that it's going to rapidly intensify, turning it into that bomb cyclone. Yes, that is a real weather term. Basically what that means is it's a low pressure system that undergoes bombogenesis, which means that it rapidly intensifies in a short period of time, basically dropping 24 millibars, that's a pressure, in 24 hours or even more than that. So what does this mean for you? It means that this low pressure system that's going to sit just off the coast of the Carolinas is going to take in a lot of that moisture coming in from the Atlantic, and it's going to turn that into snow, and it's going to dump a ton of snow on the East Coast. What it's also going to do is it's going to push that cold air down into some of our southern states that haven't necessarily seen that cold air quite yet this month. And it's going to also bring in cold air and moisture into some of these southern states like Florida, bringing in snow to Florida, places like Tampa that have not seen snow in almost 40 years. And then this high pressure system is going to move back in. It's going to warm us up by Monday. But until then, let's go ahead and talk about the snow. We've got round one, as I mentioned, coming through today. That could bring some very, very light precip to the plains. Maybe a light drizzle, maybe even a dusting of snow in some places. I'm not too worried about the accumulations in these areas. Actually, if we fast forward to accumulations in places like Omaha, Nebraska, it's not terribly impressive. We're talking about maybe 1/10 of an inch. St. Louis, Missouri, also not terribly impressive. You may get up to a 1/2 inch if you're lucky. But it's a lot more impressive, as I mentioned, as this low pressure system moves to the east and then we've got some more moisture feeding into it. That's going to intensify it and then bring a lot more moisture to the East Coast in the form of snow, right? Watch that again. There's that bomb cyclone right there, rapidly intensifying, bringing a lot of moisture to the East Coast. Not only the East Coast, but also portions of the Gulf as well. So what's happening in the Gulf is a very interesting phenomenon that we have not seen in a long time. Now, you've heard of lake effect snow. Have you ever heard of Gulf snow? Gulf effect snow? Is that what we're calling it here? Basically, what happens is we've got this cold air that's going to be rushing in. So imagine cold winds that are coming off of the land and over the water. Well, that water is relatively warm. You've got that warm, moist air. You've got those cold winds that are rushing across it. What that's going to do is it's going to form these little streaks. You see that right there? You can start to see those little streaks forming. Our future radar is doing a pretty good job of showing that. And then that's going to basically turn into lake effect snow or Gulf effect snow that's going to bring snow to Tampa. They're not expecting a ton of accumulation here. However, snow in Tampa is very, very rare, and that is why we're talking about it today. Again, not a ton of accumulation down in Florida, but a lot of accumulation in places like North Carolina. This is an area that I'm watching for some record-breaking snow, or at least snow that they haven't seen in about 5 years. So this is an area that we could see up to 6. Some of our models have up to 10 inches of snow. I think that'll be very, very localized, very rare if you see up to 10 inches of snow, but it's absolutely possible. So again, let's go ahead and take a look at our forecast here. We're going to see a lot of snow off the Carolinas here and then up into the Virginias. What about snowfall totals? Again, some of our models want to bring us into the 10, maybe 11 inch range. Not all of our models are going that high. The Euro looks to be the most aggressive here, bringing us up to 10 inches of snow. The GFS is a little bit more modest, about 5 inches of snow here. We've got about 4 inches of snow coming from the NAM. So I bet, you always say the trend is your friend. What are your models trending? Probably closer to 5 or 6 inches of snow in Raleigh, North Carolina. Still very, very impressive, something they haven't seen in a long time. Very impressive. Other than that, it's going to be cold this weekend, dangerously cold for many people across the U.S. That cold air coming in with around 1 today, so it's cold tomorrow. However, a second round of cold air moving in on Saturday, that's whenever the dangerously cold temperatures come into play here. What we're talking about here, temperatures 20, 30 degrees below normal for this time of the year. It may feel like the single digits in places like Oklahoma. It may feel like below 0 in Kansas City. Your wind chills, of course, are going to feel even colder than that. So your feel like temperatures are going to be closer to 5, maybe 10, 15 degrees below 0. Very, very cold. You have to bundle up. Here, let's get some exact numbers here. Early Friday morning in the teens and single digits. It's chilly, but we're used to that this time of the year. Where it gets really, really dangerous is as we go into Saturday morning, where we are below 0 for your actual temperature, not feel like temperature. You factor the wind into this 1 degree below 0 temperature, and it feels like 10 degrees below 0. -10, that's cold, that's dangerously cold, which is why we have those advisories in place right now, and I do expect them to turn into warnings as we get closer to Saturday. Again, it will warm back up. Look at the 40s trying to move back in here by Monday. You can see that we've got a little bit of a warm pocket of air that's trying to move into places like western Kansas and eastern Colorado, all the way as far north as Rapid City, South Dakota. So we do have a little bit of warm air that's trying to move in by the early portion of next week. We've got one person asking, When can we get back on the roof in Fayetteville, Arkansas? Well, we have the perfect graphic for that. Let's check out Fayetteville, Arkansas here with our roofing graphic. You guys help us to name this graphic. Should we name it When to Climb? When to Roof? I don't like that. Fayetteville, Arkansas. Let's go ahead and take a look. You guys are right in the middle of this today versus next Monday timeline here. What's going to be your big determination here is going to be, can we get above freezing for a decent period of time today? Now, you guys may be sitting in the low 30s right now, but is that long enough to melt that snow off the roofs today? I think it really just depends on how fast you can warm up today. After today, Fayetteville, you guys are going to be very, very cold starting tomorrow, lasting through Saturday and Sunday. Finally, by Sunday afternoon, Fayetteville, Arkansas will get once again above freezing. So if you don't get above freezing today, you have to wait until Sunday afternoon. John says, my niece moved to Charlotte last summer. Hope she doesn't have to drive in the snow. Charlotte, I think that they will get some snow. I think all of North Carolina is going to get some snow, but we can take a look at some of those snowfall totals. Yeah, look at that. Most of North Carolina getting a decent amount of snow here. I don't have exact locations, but it does look like we're going to get 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 inches of snow for a good portion of North Carolina. So I hope that she doesn't have to drive in the snow either. Hopefully she can stay warm inside. I do think that they'll undergo something that Oklahoma did over this last week where it warmed up just enough to melt a little bit of the snow, and then it's going to refreeze overnight, and it's going to warm up again, it's going to refreeze again, and so they may be dealing with these travel impacts for a while. Alrighty, let's move on to your extended temperature. Oh, I was like, what does this mean? Our roofing forecast. Name it Fiddler. I like that. Fiddler on the roof. I like that. You know, we need like a mascot to name, and we need to name it Fiddler. That's really cute. You guys are a lot more creative than I am. Alrighty, let's move on. Yeah, you're welcome, John. Thanks for asking your question. Let's move on to our extended temperature outlook. Let's get into February now, February 3rd through the 7th. So we're looking all the way into next Saturday at this point. So not this weekend, but next weekend. It does look like this warm air is trying to work its way back into the middle of the U.S. You know, it's been pretty warm out to the west. I do think that we're trying to see that trend move into the plains and some of our northern states as well. Meanwhile, the East Coast, you guys are going to stay cold for a while. As we head into the second week of February, so we're talking about the 6th through the 12th time period, it looks like there's going to be another system that's trying to move into the central plains. Too soon to tell exactly what's going to happen here. We're still about 2 weeks out from that. However, I would keep your eye out for another winter-like system that's moving through that second week of February, again, right around the 6th through the 12th time period. Other than that, it does look like our coasts are going to stay dry. And there's your forecast. Michaela did a great job with your February outlook yesterday, and it looks like it's going to be chilly and wet up to the north, very cold and snow in our New England states. And if you are looking for severe weather, anyone looking for hail, wind, tornadoes, or you just want to be informed about it, it looks like we're going to have to wait until late in February to finally see that warmer air, moist air, severe weather-like air move in. And there's your forecast. Hey, by the way, if you're interested in our hail forecast this year, go to raising-hail-tour.com. Get your Raising Hail tickets today. We are so excited to be kicking off the Raising Hail Tour in Edmond, Oklahoma next Tuesday, Denton, Texas next Thursday, February 5th, and then on February 12th, we go to Omaha, Nebraska. After that, we've got Denver, Chicago, and Minneapolis also on our tour, but I do not remember those dates off the top of my head, so head to our website, raising-hail-tour.com to see those dates. All right, head to our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok pages as well for more weather updates. And as always, give us a call at 855-334-4245 or email us at info@hailtrace.com for a hail, wind, or tornado subscription. We have maps dating all the way back to 15 years ago, 2010. So we've got a lot of maps if you guys get a subscription with HailTrace. Thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we'll see you back here same time, same place tomorrow.